Memphis, 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 Memphis. Nothing but Memphis.
That's right, guys. Nothing but Memphis right here on the Captain's Log with your host, Brandon, a.k.a. the Captain. Here again for the Week 3, Ep.6 edition of the Captain's Log. Appreciate you guys turning in. Want to give a big shout out to my guy, Bill Alexander. You can see him over in that Facebook group, the Showboats Yacht Club. Sent me this nice, sweet flag for my podcast going forward here. Absolutely love it. Appreciate him so much for that. Nice mix of that old Showboats logo with the new Showboats color coming together. Merry matrimony. It's beautiful. I love it. Glad to share it with you guys. Glad to have it for upcoming episodes of the Captain's Log. Let's get right into it, guys. The boats keep sinking to 0-3. We lost in Memphis to our hub mates, the Houston Gamblers. It was a tough game, tough loss. Gamblers win 30-26. Thankfully, a much more competitive game than last week when the Showboats fell 42-2 against the Stallions down there in Birmingham. That game, a lot of folks thought like it might have a adverse effect on the fan turnout for this game. Didn't seem too bad. Obviously, it wasn't as packed as the home opener. Not every game is going to be that great, of course, and expectations have tampered down since then for the team. So to be expected, but a great crowd, a loud crowd. You could hear that coming through with a lot of the clips that they were sending on the Twitterverse. And it started out close game, turned into a good shootout at the end. A lot of back and forth action. It was 10-10 going into halftime. Beginning of the fourth quarter, things get a little weird. The Showboats are down 10-23. They go on this drive, 9 plays, 31 yards, takes about 4 minutes off the clock. They convert a 4th and 12 on this drive, and then they end kicking a field goal at the end of the drive on a 4th and 8 in the red zone. So they would only get to 13-23 would be the score after that drive, and it had people wondering, Todd Haley, why are we going for a field goal when we'll still need a touchdown, a 3-point conversion? We'll need 2 more scores, even with USFL rules and the 3-point conversion. We'll still need 2 scores to cover this 10-point disadvantage, even with the field goal. So a lot of people were thinking maybe Brandon Wright, he's our punter primarily, but this week he was handling the kickoff duties, which he always does, but he was handling field goal duties this week as well. Alex Kessman, the kicker who's been struggling recently, was put on the inactive list for this week. So Brandon Wright was handling all the kicking duties. Maybe coach just wasn't comfortable. Brandon wasn't comfortable from the 4th and 12 position to try to go for the field goal there. So they wanted to get closer for him. Odd decision. You know, they went for that 4th and 12, like I said earlier on the drive, and then it sputters out. And instead of just going for the 4th down again, you settle for the field goal. Kind of odd, but is what it is. The game kept going. Boats still put themselves in position to win the game with this one. Nick Vogel misses a field goal. He's been off a little recently, it seems like, after having a stellar season last year. Seems like he's got a little bug in his step or something. He misses a field goal, which sets up the Showboats with a chance to go down and score to take the lead, which they do. Ends up being a 26-23 game after that, after Brandon Wright misses the extra point to make it 27-23. So it's still a field goal game. Gamblers can still go down, tie this thing up, and take it to an overtime shootout, which would have been awesome. I'm sure all the fans were expecting that, or not expecting that, but we definitely wanted that. The overtime shootout in the USFL is electrifying, so everybody's always down for one of those. But instead, Kenji Bahar takes the Gamblers down. A nice fourth quarter game-winning drive for him. Good boost of confidence for him. I mean, he dropped an absolute dime right down the middle to tight end Josh Peterson, right up the seam. Josh had his man beat. Kenji just dropped it right over the shoulder. Amazing catch. Sets him up for the Justin Allen wide open in the flat. Waltzes into the end zone to put the Gamblers up 30 to 26. Showboats get the ball back with about 13 seconds left, run a couple plays. That's all she wrote, folks. So a 30 to 26 loss. It was Cole Kelly starting this game for the whole game, and we'll talk about how he did and how we feel about Brady White or him after seeing a full game of Cole Kelly. But after the game, Todd Haley was pissed. So earlier in the game, there was already a point on a special teams play where a Showboats player got absolutely drilled. Todd Haley was upset about it. It was ruled a penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct. Todd Haley could be seen, if you're a good mouth reader, saying some real expletive words, real not family-friendly words to somebody on the Gamblers sideline. He was really, really upset, calling for dudes to get thrown out of the game. I can understand that. That's just him going for his guys. After the game, head coach of the Gamblers, Curtis Johnson, and Todd Haley are coming to the middle of the field to do their, customary little handshake that everybody does. Good games, dap up. Coach Haley comes to the middle, says some things along the lines of, you guys were watching us in practice. You never gave me a call back. So what I have gathered is that it seems like the Gamblers coaches might have been in the press box, supposedly, during the week of practice leading up to this game. Sounds like a communication error, maybe. Sounds like Coach Haley tried to reach out to Curtis, or Curtis just didn't reach out to Haley. It just sounds like a big old kerfuffle, maybe a huge misunderstanding over two coaches who just weren't talking to each other during the week. Bit of he said, she said. Todd Haley didn't really address it much in the press conference, not much to say about it. Nobody really asked him about it, but another week where Todd Haley after a game is upset visibly. We saw it last week after the 40-point loss to the Stallions. He gave Skip a nice little sarcastic congratulations. How you doing? You kicked our beep. Congratulations. So just two weeks now where Todd's been a very, very upset man. And you got to think, we're 0-3. Unless we rip off 7 wins straight here, playoff hopes are kind of out the window. It's not looking good. We still got to play the Breakers 2 times. They're looking unbelievable. We still got to play the Stallions again. We know what happened there. And we still got to play the Gamblers again. So those are tough games alone right there, not to mention the North, which looks absolutely stellar compared to last year. The Panthers and Maulers last year over there were kind of rough, and it didn't make for a competitive division. But this year the North is hot, so it's going to be no easy task taking on those teams for the rest of the season. And hopefully Todd and Carnell and everybody can rally the troops. The defense is still looking good. Defense is doing their best. League tied for the league lead with sacks with the Panthers at 9. So on to the starter, Cole Kelly. Cole had a good game. Had a lot, not a lot, but there were definitely a touchdown or two and then a conversion or two that he just kind of overthrew a guy. They weren't on the same connection, what have you. I liked Cole. I liked what he did. The offensive line wasn't holding up too good. Like I said earlier, the Gamblers, their defense was running around, looking hot early. Cole's a big dude, and he's a taller guy. He's 6'7", and we've got Rashard Davis and Derek Dillon, kind of smaller guys, and he kind of had some overthrows to them. You wonder if, he's still trying to get that chemistry with the guys, and that's understandable. And then we saw some Osiris Mitchell show up for his first game. I've been wanting to see some more of him. Ryan McDaniel had a hell of a game. Cole Kelly tossed him a touchdown where he nice little bobble action, caught it in the end zone. Catch of the week, I would imagine. But all in all, Cole was 21 of 28, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Could have been like 3 touchdowns. J.J. Wilson dropped a tough one in the back of the end zone. Cole didn't really lead him as much as he could have to make it an easier catch, but I know JJ, he would take responsibility for that one too, because it did hit him right in the chest. So kind of a tough one there. There were a lot of drops for Cole, still trying to get the rhythm with those guys. So, I mean, as far as Cole or Brady, seems like they'll probably stick with Cole at this point, let him get another week under his belt and see how he does. And I would imagine if he struggles, they would probably just go on to Ryan Willis and let Ryan Willis get maybe 2 games, depending on where the record is and depending on Cole Kelly is playing. But I expect we'll see Cole Kelly next week starting against the Panthers. I think he did enough to earn that start for another week and get another week of practice with the ones and build a little more chemistry with these guys. So up next, we got the Panthers. They were looking hot to trot early. They were 2-0, looked very, very good. Josh Love obviously had that first game where he broke USFL records from the 80s. And the second game, they looked just as good, taking on the Stars and the Gamblers. This week, they took on the Generals, and the Generals are back, okay? The Generals are just fine. Generals came out and really just took control of this game. It felt like from start to finish, Generals kind of had the Panthers' number. Excuse me. Panthers weren't able to do much offensively, and the Generals, have got that killer run game. Darius Victor back to Offensive Player of the Year candidacy like he never left. Panthers lost Reggie Corbin, it looked like, at the end of the game. Saw Stevie Scott come in for him, and Stevie's just as capable, just as good of a back. You saw him immediately come in and have some success, but losing Reggie is a game changer, and we'll see what his status is for the game next week. It's going to be a tough one. That was the Panthers' home opener, and next week the Showboats are going to Detroit to play the Panthers in Ford Field. And I got to think Mike Nolan is going to be licking his chops at this one. This looks like a real typical get-back game for the Panthers. Take a reeling, struggling Showboats team coming in on the road, just took another tough loss. You guys just took a loss, but you got fans coming out behind you again. They showed up for the first game. Stars everywhere. They had the Calvin Johnsons. They got Big E obviously doing MC. They had the Detroit Tigers out there. They had Detroit legends everywhere. So awesome to see Detroit embracing the Panthers. Showboats are going up into a tough environment next week. And like I said, feels like a big get-back game for the Panthers. They got Breland Speaks on the defense. He'll be looking to wreak havoc all game. Hopefully, for the Showboats, we can I don't know. We could do something. Maybe we can get a run game going. That would help out a lot. We've only averaged, I think, about 60 yards this season per game rushing. Alex Collins hasn't even broke 100 yards rushing over the season. So it's going to be a tough one. My prediction for that game, I think Michigan wins 24-17. I think Michigan could let it get a little more out of hand than that, but should be a good game. We'll see what happens. I got, as you can see, I got a lot of confidence going into this next one. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll be here all season. We're going to ride this wave. Right now it looks like a waterfall we're going over, but hey, we still got these guys out here competing. They're still competing for film, so they're still going to be giving it their all, and we're going to support these guys till the end, and no matter what that looks like. So catch me here again next week. Appreciate you guys for coming out. It's been the Captain's Log. Go Boats.